as we said, in this show, we talk about the core of market research. And we've talked a little bit about the status of the industry. We talked a little bit about what is happening to the code and how our industry is evolving and how it's trying to bring in new entrants. And that's all being done to guard the public perception of this industry, right? Because consumer trust, as Gary Levin just mentioned, is one of the key elements of this industry. And it's funny that Gary made that comment, because Gary is the CEO of Research Now, and I'm currently joined by two of his very, he must be proud, for his employees. Luc Schemer, you're the Senior Research Director from Research Now in the UK, and Melanie Kortweit. We just saw you on stage on Channel 1, right?
You did.
Because you're the official ESOMAR rep here in the United States.
Proudly.
But you're also the Executive Vice President Global Client Services at Research Now.
Yeah.
And the two of you have been involved in a project that is all about the public perception of research, right? If you had to summarize in one word, what is the current public perception of market research?
One word, or maybe surprising.
Mistrust.
Distrust?
Mistrust.
Mistrust.
Yeah. Yes.
And surprising.
Yeah.
Because tell our viewers a little bit about the background of this project. What did you guys do?
So we've conducted just over 6,000 interviews across different modes to try and establish a benchmark or a line in the sand about how we're seen as an industry, and how it's changed as much as anything else. I think the stereotypes that we've grown up with through our careers are influenced by the fact that the public is exposed to market research a tremendous amount nowadays, and to see how that plays out is really interesting, and to see how we can influence it is, I think, really important.
Yeah, the media talks a lot about market research. We're in commercials and we're in polling. The participants talk a lot about market research. There's hashtags about market research. We don't talk enough about ourselves, and so there's this information gap with their perceptions versus the reality of what we're doing, and it creates mistrust. So we're going to share some of the insights that we got from. We did this because we do a lot of research on our modes, a lot of research on our methods, but we don't do a lot of research on what people think of what we're doing, and we need to address that. So.
Yeah, because just to be clear, this is an ESOMAR supported project,
it
right?
Is.
And you guys
ESOMAR
executed, and we'll share the findings later today. If you're interested, it's today at a little after 4:30, right? On Channel 1. So you conducted surveys, over 6,000 you said. You say it's summarized as mistrust, but can you elaborate a little bit? Is that the key findings that you found?
So I think that it's woven into the key findings. Trust is certainly a key part of it. There's also the participation is interesting. We find that actually not a tremendous amount of the population are exposed to the key touch point that we have, which is the research exercises that we ask people to undertake. So what they're influenced by is outside and beyond just actually what we control. And I think we've talked a lot, Melanie, about the distance that is appearing.
Connection. Yeah, so as we've moved online and into the digital world with our research, we're interacting one-on-one with participants with far less frequency. So we're not connecting with them in ways that help them form trusting relationships with us. So where we used to do things in person, in-depth interviews on the streets with clipboards, now everything is via email and
we
apps.
got someone just walking through the street. Oh, he just got stopped in time. Yeah, welcome. This is a TV
Live.
studio. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
No problem.
Should have let him go, I guess.
So probably the biggest finding is just that we have to really work to connect, engage, and establish trust when we go digital.
And that is a great phrase, but how can we do that? Educate our viewers. What should we do to increase or improve the public perception of research?
It's a problem not unlike what every marketer faces. They have a short amount of time to establish a trusting relationship and then to start interacting with them. We sometimes go straight to asking questions and don't establish trusting relationships in our first 30 seconds with them in a survey world. So we have to say meaningful things in the first 30 seconds, and then we have to abide by our code of ethics. That's super important. Every time we breach our code of ethics, we breach trust with the public.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Grace.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, yes, she said it. So what you're saying is, these are actually little, very practical tweaks in your research design. That's what's coming out of this.
That's right.
Certainly, that's the core of the recommendations about how we're making that engagement is really important, and it's an opportunity for us to start to influence what people understand market research to be and how they take part in it.
Okay. And this research is now finished. You're presenting the results here today at Congress. What are the next steps? Is this the end of it? Is this going on?
No.
Or what's going to happen?
We actually want to challenge the entire market research space to take the things that we've said and do some testing with us. We can't test every possible messaging combination that we could put together to build public trust. We can't test every possible language. So we'd like the research community to stand up with us and help us test things. Bring your best findings to SMR next year. Help us learn how to build trust in 30 seconds that affects data quality for the rest of the survey.
So you're actually making a call to action
I
to
am.
our audience right now.
Yes.
And where do people need to go? Just to be super clear, say this sounds interesting, I want to help experiment. Is there a place online where they can reach you or find you, or how does this work?
Yeah, you can certainly reach out to me and Luke. You can also reach out to SMR. SMR partnered with us on this research. You can reach out to me as an SMR rep. You can reach out to SMR in general, and please respond to the call for papers. Take it upon yourselves to do some really cool research in this area, and then when the call for papers comes out for SMR next year, submit your work, and let's all share best practices.
Yeah, and then specifically aimed at establishing trust, both online and offline in the first
30 seconds of your survey world.
That's your call for action.
Yes.
All right, well, great opportunity. You took the stage to make that. Anything to add, Luke?
No,
that's it, right? This is the core message. Thank you very much for being with us. And as I said, when we're talking about the core of market research, one of them is also in relation to public perception, data privacy, right?
It is.
Data privacy. And SMR is working really, really hard on that as well. And they created the data privacy checklist, I should say. And we have a short little video about that. So let's have a look.
Mr. R is a market researcher and excels in understanding people. Mr. R is happy researching and collecting all the data he can find. Sites visited, email addresses, groceries bought, you name it, he has it. Mr. R provides a fabulous service. He creates beautiful projects for his clients, sending all the information happily to them. Yes, being a researcher is fantastic, especially when you have access to so many useful personal details. But then, something goes wrong. Participants are getting all sorts of direct marketing offers from the client. It's all been made possible by the information sent to the client. Because of this, one of the participants is so angry that she files a complaint with ESOMAR. ESOMAR'S investigation concludes that there is a violation of the ICC ESOMAR code because Mr. R allowed research data to be misused for marketing. Mr. R might get a published warning. If you think that's bad, it gets worse. The client calls Mr. R to let him know they lost a laptop with all the personal data on it. The regulators start investigating and they're not happy. Mr. R's company didn't have a privacy policy in place and personal data was not transferred securely. They decide to issue Mr. R a fine worth several millions, costing Mr. R his company. This story could have been very different if only Mr. R had checked in with us. So, how could Mr. R have avoided getting into this mess? And how can you avoid being in that position? We've got the tool you need, our ESOMAR Data Protection Checklist. You can consult the list to see how well you meet international data protection requirements. It will have your back. And if you read and implement it fully, it will make sure that you don't collect unnecessary amounts of data, store data safely, manage your data flows better, and more. And best of all, it's easy to use, even for a non-privacy pro. So what are you waiting for? Get your copy today at esomar.org/DP checklist.